They are very special people, as always, that accompany DaVinci. And in particular tonight, we are very honored to have our first doctorate graduate also being with us. And we will unveil who she is later on, and she can introduce herself. And we also realized that she and my wife were at university almost at the same time. So it's also great in having that link back. So I feel at home with her. I hope she feels similarly at home. We are really intending to work with the Free State community because we are mutually interested that the agricultural and food production within the Free State should really play its rightful role in South Africa. And there's great efforts going on in that, and we hope to continue our engagements in this regard, and we're really looking forward, MEC, to have discussions and projects and activities working on this. And then just to other people I want to say welcome to is the chair of the DaVinci board, Mr. Regenerative. We're very pleased that he's joined us tonight, also being a very committed colleague towards the development of the Institute over a prolonged period of time. I met him the first time when he was a young boy, doing a speech in a public space. And I'm very glad that he's here and that he is still joining with us. And then I also want to say welcome to the colleague who you sharing with us tonight as the board member. She's got quite a challenge currently because she's got eloquence that she wants to share with DaVinci. And I think maybe sometimes she struggles for us to understand that eloquence. So I hope that she can continue with that eloquence towards us some way or other. Maybe the sooner the better. But thanks for joining the board also recently. We're really very pleased to have you on board and joining us on the journey that we believe is critical for the contribution and the intent of this institution to be an integral part of the South African society. And that everyone here at DaVinci has got the intent to influence. I said to a colleague from Stanley just earlier, my interest is not in being involved with 200 people. My interest is being involved with 20, 50 influencers. We want to work with influencers. The rest, because the influence is the message to the broader community. But otherwise, I want to say welcome to everybody here and honoring us with your presence, people from industry. I hope you find it a meaningful engagement. I'm particularly pleased for the guests.
As always, it's a tremendous privilege to spend time in the company of eminence in the company. So when Ben says about importance, you are all important. Not only as taxpayers. Just as South Africans, as those who have demonstrated your academic prowess. So let me say firstly welcome to the President's Dinner, and I invite the faculty, the proud families, as well as the distinguished guests, and most importantly, the dinner is in honor of those who will graduate as at the end of their journey as doctoral candidates. Of course, we celebrate this achievement as an extraordinary achievement not to be taken for granted, a milestone that marks the culmination of years of intellectual rigor and the beginning of a journey that I hope brims for each of you as individuals, but for us as a collective society with purpose and possibility. I want to share with you two stories which I find most meaningful and applicable to the stage of your journey. Stories that embody the spirit of generosity, stories I hope that will inspire you to a higher purpose, and that will help clarify for you the why of your studies. Firstly, the story of Dr. Jonas Salk, an American virologist who developed the polio vaccine in 1955. At the time, and none of you were born, so you all kind of millennials. But at the time, poliomyelitis was a devastating disease that both paralyzed and caused the death of many children annually. And Jonas Salk's breakthrough saved millions of lives subsequently. But after such a remarkable discovery, he was asked, who owns the patent on the cure that you desire? And he said, there is no patent. He said, could you patent the sun? His decision to forego personal profit was so remarkable because it ensured the vaccine could reach millions who would otherwise not be able to afford it and thus eradicate polio pretty much in the world. His contribution to vaccine science and global health, beyond that, embodies a commitment to humanitarian principles over commercial gain. I am not saying money is not important, but money cannot be the purpose that inspires us. And that's very important. Because no amount of money will truly fulfill you. But finding a purpose with passion, a cause worthy to die for, will bring us a tremendous amount of fulfillment and peace when it is our time to leave. Jonas Salk's legacy is a reminder that your discoveries, that insights that you are going through your studies, are in fact not yours, but gifts to humanity. Although never a Nobel Prize winner, many contest this, he still received numerous awards, including the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1997, and his is a legacy that has changed the world forever. Similarly, Dr. Tu Yoyo discovered artemisinin, a natural compound derived from the sweet wormwood plant for malaria treatment. I think it was Gary Player who said it takes many, many years to become an overnight success. This profound discovery for malaria treatment has subsequently, according to the World Health Organization, saved 6 million lives and inspired by ancient Chinese texts and driven by an urgent need to combat malaria, she worked persistently since 1970 for this discovery. And ultimately, for that, was awarded the Nobel Prize in 2015. She did not seek fame or fortune, but to accelerate progress in the service of humanity. Her story shows our curiosity, perseverance, and a commitment to service can transform the world. These stories remind us that with great privilege comes a huge responsibility, a responsibility to pay it forward. You stand as recipients of an inordinate privilege. Earning a PhD places you among an elite group of only 1.2% of global population who holds a doctoral degree, according to UNESCO. You have navigated grueling research, sleepless nights, and complex challenges to push the boundaries of human knowledge. This privilege grants you access to rare opportunities to shape industries, influence policy, and drive innovation in the fields from artificial intelligence to sustainable energy to global health. Your expertise positions you at the forefront of solving some of the world's most pressing problems. Yet, your knowledge, skills, and insights are not yours to keep. There are tools for service meant to uplift communities, breach the divides, and create a better future. The world faces unprecedented challenges. Climate change threatens 25% of global GDP by 2050, according to the National Bureau of Economic Research. Health disparities persist, with 3.5 billion people lacking access to essential healthcare, according to the WHO. And social inequities demand new frameworks for justice. It was Mahatma Gandhi who famously said, "We have enough in the world for everyone's need. We do not have enough for everyone's greed." South Africa is one of the most unequal societies and has one of the highest youth unemployment. Imagine how your work can change this. Your advanced training are uniquely equipped to address these pressing challenges. DaVinci prides itself on not solving theoretical or esoterical problems, but real-world problems. There is no shortage of real-world problems in this troubled world where we live. So you have a responsibility to ensure that your work does not languish in academic journals, but translates into real-world impact. Playing it forward means that you would mentor the next generation, just as you were mentored and advised by many tonight. It means making your research accessible, explaining complex ideas to policymakers, to educators, or local communities. It means asking, how can my work serve others? Whether you're in a lab, a startup, a classroom, or a government office, your role is to turn knowledge into action, to lead with integrity, and to inspire change. As you step forward, I urge you to embrace both your privilege and exercise your responsibility. Your degree equips you to tackle problems that affect billions. Whether it's developing renewable energy to cut the 8.7 billion of metric tons of carbon dioxide that is emitted annually, or advancing equitable education for the 260 million children out of school, or innovating technologies to close the digital divide impacting 2.9 billion people who are still offline. Be bold in your vision, but humble in your approach. Have an ambition, but not for yourself, for a cause bigger than yourself. Collaborate across disciplines, central to the ethos of the DaVinci degree, interdisciplinarity. Listen to diverse voices and mentor those who follow in your footsteps. Graduates cannot just be scholars. You have to be change makers. Your work can heal, unite, and inspire. Carry this privilege with purpose, play it forward, and let your impact ripple across this generation and leave a lasting legacy to the next. Congratulations, well deserved, and well done again on your accomplishments. Enjoy the line.
So I think now it's time for the something to be served. The starters to be served. I wasn't sure if it's hors d'oeuvres or whatever, but we can have the starters served, and then we will continue the program. But in the meanwhile, enjoy. I think the wine, and if you need anything to drink, will also be served. You can just request that they come around. Thank you very much. Now, I must admit, Dana, every institution goes through its own iterations. I must make sure that I get my hand on that toolbox. Because I don't know where that toolbox is. If you ask me tonight, I know it's somewhere, but maybe we must get that toolbox. But welcome. Great to welcome you here in the presence of others, because you were indeed the first alumnus, Thank you very much, and we're looking forward to
chairman of the board, faculty members, discipline leaders, staff, alumni, and most importantly, graduates. Thank you so much for this honor to recognize your achievements and the extraordinary habitus that makes up the DaVinci Institute. When I embarked on my PhD, I wrote myself a letter as a handrail, giving me a sense of security against the imposter syndrome that I felt as a sociologist embarking on a PhD in another discipline. It served as a beacon in often very dark and very lonely nights of why I had no choice but to create new knowledge and contribute to the corpus sapientia that at that time did not suffice in answering the burning questions I felt I had to address. The crux of that letter was this: you have identified a conundrum, given your readings and given your experiences. There's a responsibility that comes with such an insight. But identifying this is interesting, but that alone is insufficient. How do you address this, and what can be done and done differently and measurably better to manage the conundrum, yield alternative outcomes, and resolve the zero-sum gains is what I must endeavor to deliver. Put differently, clarifying the what of what needs to be solved must be followed by so what and then what. These are the refinements that are needed to contribute something that has sustainability, relevance, and value. After graduating, I had the opportunity to apply the thinking that arose from the PhD, and I was very fortunate to share these at both DaVinci and other academic institutions, at policy roundtables, commercial platforms, etc. But highlighting the what without addressing the so what, and then the then what, that was sufficiently frustrating to turn anyone into an activist. So, what I want to say is that knowledge for knowledge's sake is a rabbit warren for Pete's sake. We must act on what we now know, and in so doing, refine what we know to act differently. This is one of the joys that I learned from the DaVinci adventure. One has to apply what you learn and refine this to continue the learning journey. Only at DaVinci is applied insight the centerpiece of knowledge creation, where this can then be turned into real innovation and value. But you have to be brave enough to admit that the insight has room for improvement, refinement, and that in refining that insight, we create the Vitruvian man. There have been very extraordinary insights that have emanated from these hallowed halls, from engineering to models around decision-making, to engineering expertise and innovations, data-centric solutions, etc. They all have applied insights at their pivot. And despite the often myopic focus that's associated with the PhD, being able to apply these eureka to other contexts, sectors, and challenges is testament to the contributions, the rigorous discipline of what, so what, say it with me, and then what can yield. Leonardo would be proud, not only with the traversing of arts and scientific applications, but at the range of where these insights have found root. In the last 20 years, I have endeavored to apply the insights from my PhD, which examined the interrelationship between leadership, power, and transformation, and how to overcome the inherent paradoxes therein with a set of tools that came with a warning that leverage competitive advantage. I've applied this in the energy sector, but also in associated domains like foreign policy, venture capital, app development, the dance community, SMME growth for agricultural startups, etc. These opportunities didn't fall into my lap, even though I do consider myself very lucky and privileged. You have to seek them out with a bifocal lens. They're quite cheap. Right. Look at things through a bifocal lens of the refined insight from your PhD and an insatiable curiosity to understand our context, engage with it, contribute to it, leaving it richer, clearer, and increasingly relevant for more than before. You are about to be titled, but you're not entitled because of it. This is only the start of you applying your insights. You might have conquered the what. Now what are you going to do with that? And then what are you going to do with the responses that you no doubt will receive? You have agency and insight, and there's always the opportunity to change the world. Be brave in exiting this hall. There's responsibility that's been entrusted to you, and the world awaits your applied insight, creativity, and value. Thank you.
Extremely dependent on the goodwill of academics who avail themselves to be supervised. It has been bastardized a bit of late. In the old world, a supervisor will pay it forward. And in some way, I'm a bit of that old school. So I can never understand the notion of being rewarded for being a supervisor. I do understand it, but I don't understand it. Because as a supervisor myself, it's your commitment to pay it forward. Because a PhD in its origins was meant as a peer engagement. You become part of a community of thinkers that reflect and share. The world has changed a bit, but we are still, as a university, dependent, totally dependent on that voice of the supervisor to steer and direct, and to facilitate and probe, and particularly in our context, the awareness of a transdisciplinary engagement, the awareness of diverse thought processes, the awareness of a heterogeneous understanding of reality, and very important for DaVinci, making it socially relevant to the people that we are surrounded by. So that's a big ask for a supervisor, because we are also aware that in the main, people who are supervisors are cut from the cloth of a mode 1 arrangement. You follow the instruction, you follow the expert, you follow the rules, you create a norm, and then you say that is quality. Not sure about that. For us, it's rather you probing and deconstructing all those truths, or so-called truths, so that we can co-create a new understanding of reality. And when I look at the likes of Zingai here tonight, Donna, and Linky, there's been a co-creation even in your journeys, where there's your voice. And we are looking forward to your voice for those 6 graduates that are joining us tonight. But to honor the work of the supervisors, I would now like to ask Professor Dagana to come to, I don't know, just forward, and to bring the supervisor voice, colleague, as you would see it, also being a very experienced academic and deeply steeped in academia. Please welcome Professor Dagana.
It's the last part that I didn't finish, so I'll finish that part. He says DaVinci Institute depend a lot on its masters and doctoral supervisors. What he didn't say is this: DaVinci, according to my desktop research, and I've been in business schools for more than 15 years. So according to my desktop research, DaVinci has the second biggest number of registered doctoral students. Far bigger than the so-called top this, top that, far bigger than in terms of the numbers. And interestingly, in most universities in this country and elsewhere in the world, for you to be promoted from being a senior lecturer to associate professor, and from associate professor to full professor, one of the things that they look at is very important, and they don't budge on this, they don't compromise, is that at least for the last 5 years, you should have produced one doctoral student. And most academics can't do that. Why? Because the very universities don't have doctoral students for them to supervise. But those rules they can't prevent them. So the question is, what happens? Those who are lucky get invited by DaVinci. So as much as DaVinci depend a lot on these supervisors, many academics, and I know them, and we know each other. Many academics depend on DaVinci to be able to supervise doctoral students. So they supervise, the student pass, they go back to their university and say, I'm done. And the university says, from where? From DaVinci. Oh, okay, yeah, the forms, you are promoted. So what it means is DaVinci is not just empowering its graduates, it's also empowering peers in academia. To me, that's very important. And he mentioned the word quality, very important. What I've realized, something that DaVinci does it very excellently, is the quality assurance. So you have this person called supervisor, but honestly speaking, it's more of group supervision. And that's very important, because then there's checks and balances that are very important. So yes, I mean, before the thesis goes for examination in DaVinci, its scholarship has been tried and tested in various stages. And to me, that's very important. And I suppose that's why DaVinci puts up its thesis on website. They're there. Because it's quality and it has to shine, you know. So to me, that's very important. And lastly, because I promised Sushi that if I speak for more than 3 minutes, she should come and kick me. And lastly, and that's very important, DaVinci is one of the requirements that as a doctoral student, you should have produced publishable work, ideally published already, and they're pursuing that a lot. So what I like is that as part of that, DaVinci support the student and the supervisor to do that. And what I'm going to say, it's not about me and the owners going to supervise, but other supervisors. So we produced a peer-reviewed conference paper. So I presented it on our behalf, but obviously only did 99% of the work. So I presented it to the conference. So it's published in peer-reviewed conference proceedings. I look at it. And then we got an email from a highly regarded journal, international journal, published. So we did, it got published. Then later on, the thesis was done. Then we thought, if that international journal finds this worthy to be published, how about writing up a book mostly relying on this scholarly work? So we talked to DaVinci. DaVinci said, sure, go ahead. So we did that. And we thought, who can we have to write the foreword of the book? So we had around 5 people and shortlisted and debated. And the CEO, we wrote to him, we didn't pass by anybody. That matters, no, that matters, that kind of accessibility as a student and as a supervisor, that you can write directly to the CEO and he replies. So he did the forward, and we were happy, but then he started to ask us difficult questions. He says, I see you're talking about 4IR. That's good and fair. But why didn't you mention 5IR? And we thought it means we may have to add 4 more weeks in the you know. But interestingly about that publication is, so when we talked to the publisher, they said, okay, we'll take it for peer review get. Then they said, we're not going to make this very scholarly work, we cannot make money in South Africa here. And because of that, we may need someone who will have to pay production costs. So we talked to such an organization. Honestly, we disclosed to DaVinci as remote their intellectual property. So we talked to a certain organization. They said, no, our research committee will meet the net, they approved. It needs a lot of disapproval. Later on, the ESCO approved. It's a fairly huge sum of money. What does it mean? They will never have wanted to put money on something of poor quality. For me, that's it. So what I'm saying here says a lot about DaVinci, says a lot about the students, says a lot about management. So we appreciate that, and I've got no doubt that this institution will keep on pushing. Thank you.
I think it's important just to share with the colleagues here tonight, for those of many of you know us, but maybe just by way of introduction, just to let you know who are those people in the main that hold that anchor. And the first one that I want to say is Dr. Mohamed El Mongy. Maybe if she can stay up. Dr. Mohamed is the faculty head for innovation management. And so, I mean, although we embrace a transdisciplinary approach, that's her focus, and going into the future, she's steering that. And she's busy also with an initiative around how could DaVinci become involved in more detail in the innovation management space. So that's the one anchor in the academic project quality. The other colleague is Professor Mtetwa. I know he should be here, or he is here, but I can't see him. But Professor Mtetwa is the head for people management, and he then steers that piece of the TIPS framework. And then it is the faculty of systems thinking and research, where it really sits, because he's also the doctorate program lead. That's Dr. Gavin Alex, that you will also hear later tonight. And for the interim period at least, I am the faculty head for technology management. So we are on a journey. We are on a journey of rebirth. As from the start of this year. And what I mean by that is that we really intend to become more true to the original intent of what DaVinci set it out to be. And that is the alignment with the TIPS framework in all its different layerings and interpretations. And that each of these colleagues are really championing that in the way forward. I think it's important, why I wanted to share that, is for too long we have neglected, Professor El Mongy, enough of that focus by spreading it to a team of people that can carry the full message. And we're very pleased that we're now at that stage. And we are really looking forward what we as a team will present to the community, not just the student community, but the broader community, in terms of our contributions on the research space within technology, innovation, people, etc. So just from my side, thank you very much for that academic executive team support. We really appreciate that. Now dinner will now be served, and we can continue the discussion.
like to make a comment while Mohamed is receiving his gift. Mohamed is from Egypt, and we feel very honored that you come from the northern tip of Africa to the southern tip in honoring us with your presence, and also the contribution that you've made in terms of your research. So welcome in our midst.
Next up we have Ms. Portia Heynes.
Kevin, I'm going to interrupt. Yes, sir. There's just a point of order. There are two cars, a Merc and a BMW, with the following registrations: CW 95TSGP and LF33, I don't know, something 6GP. The colleagues wants to close a gate where you parked on the neighboring premises. So if you don't mind, our security guards are outside. If you can just maybe just remove it and bring it closer to this side of the building. Anybody whose vehicles those are? Nobody?
CEO for the video. My name is Vencent Blennies. I think one of the most critical things to be on this very short but very long journey has been the discovery of the fact that this has really molded me, it has broken me as a person, but it got me to realize how little I really knew and how much I am given the opportunity to at least make a contribution to the body of knowledge, one, to have some form of impact in our society. And it's not just about a qualification. I think it's much more than that. It's about an experience, it is more about self, and I've discovered who I really am as a person. Thank you very much.
I don't know what to do. That's a very important thing that you're demonstrating now. Because at DaVinci we've got a engagement community that we call Curiosity, which you unfortunately don't participate because you're distant. And part of it is sitting in a circle, but deliberately so that you appreciate that you will never see everything. Yeah. So you get excited.
I think to me it was a really long journey. It's not in terms of the temporal space, but it's a journey inward. So it made me realize my inner calling and how is that resonant to many people that I call my people, which are the people that share the Nile River. It's a majestic African river, but also it's a human river. And to me, it's not only the place I was born and I live in, but it's my reason for being. Thank you.
And we are indeed, as an institution, looking forward. How do you operationalize these ideas in practice? I think there's a lot of it to be operationalized. And we would love to journey with you as far as possible. So thank you very much. And once again, congratulations. The next person, Clement Mtetwa. Clement, share with us the journey.
Yeah.
Do you want to share with them when we met?
No, sure. Thanks, Professor. Good evening, everyone. I had intervened with the commissioner about 2 weeks ago when we launched, I worked for government, when we launched the digital transformation roadmap. So, because my study was about infusion of artificial intelligence, especially in education. So he has done a very good work because he's collecting money from the citizens. So my angle is I want to do a good work in providing the services to the citizen, because I think there's a perception that government does well when they want to collect, but very little when they have to do that. So that's my angle. So I want to use artificial intelligence so that we can deliver services to the citizens of the country. Thank you.
Well, I wish you well on that journey of democratization, opening things up, deconstructing things, reconceptualizing it, and bringing it to the people. Because indeed, we can take ourselves into a bubble, and we've seen what that has done over time to society. So I really wish you the best of support. And the chair of the board and I were just talking earlier tonight, and I want to make at this point a full stop and say I made a mistake. Didn't know that my dear colleague, Dr. Vencent Blennies, also alumnus of DaVinci, is in the audience. And we just started a conversation from the Strategic Board Advisory Board with his colleague, Dr. Amalea, who's also here, Dr. Amalea, on AI. And what role does DaVinci want to play in the AI space? And we've started a working stream on that. Tomorrow you will hear at your graduation, one of our other doctoral alumnus, Dr. Alan Tono, is launching his book tomorrow on AI. So the AI space is emerging at DaVinci. We may not be the first adopters of that, but we looked at and obviously discussing it, and I think under the guidance of Dr. Mwefe and Dr. Amalea, I'm really looking forward to bring you closer to that. You can't not be part of that. So welcome to that space. Congratulations. And then Kolakila Nsobi, do you want to share your experience? You indicated to me earlier that you wanted to give you a mini lecture on what was it? Ontology and epistemology.
At last.
Thank you so much, Prof. And unspoken word in my house, epistemology, we don't use that word. My study was more focused on township economy and looking at the strategies and policies that will accelerate, development and review challenges that are faced by communities, in enhancing business development within communities. It's been an eye-opening to take this journey or to go through this journey with DaVinci. And remember, it's the first lecture we had in DaVinci was on TRIPS. And we were asked a question, so anybody has something to say about TRIPS? I said, yeah, I have what? He said, I don't support that model. And I was humbled during my journey. And I'm happy to announce that, my last article that I've done on youth and women in entrepreneurship, it also involves a TRIPS model. It's been a nice journey, and I appreciate it. And I don't take this opportunity very light. I'm humbled, and I'm grateful. Also, I have with my brother, Professor Toby, who also called me that, you better say something about TRIPS, otherwise I'm humble and privileged, and the benefits are there for the community that I've been doing the study with. I've got more than 4 mentors or mentees that I'm teaching. I'm mentoring about 6 or 7 other business people, and through just halfway through the study, the results were showing. Thank you so much.
So what do you think is the possibility that we can have this celebration somewhere in your community?
Profit could be done.
Could be done. Yeah. So we can talk about that.
Yes. As long as there was no epistemology.
Congratulations
is, and we're really looking forward to how you're going to make this become real in your life, and that the PhD really becomes an embodiment of who you are and the way you want to position yourself going forward in the future. And then our last colleague is Gani. You've got the last word. Just tell me, from where are you also?
I live in Zambia.
Yes, because I know you come from elsewhere in Africa, and you're originally from Israel. So welcome in our space. We'd like to give you the last word.
So for me, the journey was, I had a few different aspects. The first one is to accept my family, the cybersecurity area, some AI as well. So for me, this journey was also to help the country that are now in Zambia. I formed some framework for businesses in Zambia how to secure themselves, which is something which not really happens in Zambia. And now I was amazed of the impact, the quick impact of this research when the government engaged me and wanted to explore how to adopt it as official guidelines for their small